you know anything about the people that did this to my child, please come forward and say something.
We believe that they have critical information that our detectives are looking for.
Pleas from police and the parents of Aaron Lowe tonight as his killer remains at large.
Investigators still with very few leads tonight in their search for the killer of a University of Utah football player over the weekend.
News specialist Dan Rascone sat down with Aaron's mom today.
Wow. How is this not being run on SportsCenter, Fox Sports News, CBS Sports, the Big Ten Network, SEC Network, every sports channel? This is a huge story. This kid was going to the NFL. He might have dropped because of this issue or that issue in the rounds, but he was going to get drafted and he was going to make an NFL roster. Corners are at a premium. Every team except for the Rams need corners. And he's a fine corner. A very good corner. He was going to the NFL. Why is no athlete tweeting? Why aren't all the athletes tweeting about this, man? Why when a thug, let's be honest, Jacob Blake, who fought with police in 2015 after he tried to shoot a guy at a club, and the police officers had to subdue him violently there. He's lucky he wasn't killed in that 2015 incident in Racine. And then had another incident 5 years later, 2020, with cops, where he fought with cops. Why did they all say, that could have been me? Why did all the athletes say, that could have been me, man? This ain't right. We got to cancel playoff games. We got to cancel. We got to wear all this stuff. Drew Brees. They made Drew Brees wear this guy's name on his helmet. Guarantee you no players wear this guy's name on their helmet on Sunday. None. And how many stories have I done on athletes being killed? And there's no outcry from the athletic world, the woke athletic world. And this happened in Salt Lake City, so they could even be like, man, a glacier glider did that. Even though we know one of the 4 or 5 Sun men in Salt Lake City did this. About 4 or 5 of them, and one of them shot this brother. But it just strikes me that they never see themselves in this guy. This is them. A young kid in playing Division I football, going to class, keeping his grades up, staying out of trouble, easily, gets gunned down because some random thug just sprays the party. And not one of these woke athletes comes out and says, that could have been me. Bring awareness to this. Let's find his killer. Justice. The killer's still out there, and none of the athletes are calling for justice. Which makes them horrible people and clout chasers. If it's not obvious to you right now that they did all this stuff for clout, and I don't know what to tell you.
You know anything about the people that did this to my child, please come forward and say something.
We believe that they have critical information that our detectives are looking for.
Pleas from police and the parents of Aaron Lowe tonight as his killer remains at large.
Investigators still with very few leads tonight in their search for the killer of a University of Utah football player over the weekend.
News specialist Dan Rascone sat down with Aaron's mom today. Dan, this is a difficult time for many.
Yeah, it is a very emotional time for everyone here on campus right now, and the family, emotions running very high. His mother telling me that they basically, or her son loved football, and unfortunately, his dreams were cut short.
A mother shouldn't have to bury her child.
Tears flow freely as Donna talks about her son.
I raised him to love God and to love people.
21-year-old Aaron Lowe, a University of Utah football player who was tragically shot and killed at a house party over the weekend.
My child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He did nothing wrong, but I raised a good child. He wasn't a troublemaker. He didn't engage in fighting and arguing, and he didn't tote weapons. He didn't do any of those things.
Her message to the killer?
I want them to pay for what they done, and I hope they got a conscience, that they'll come forward and turn themselves in.
She also has a plea for those who may have witnessed the crime.
To please, if you know something, say something. He didn't deserve it.
Why are athletes, why ain't players from the WNBA, the wokest league on the face of this earth, moved by this sister's tears? What about the NBA, the NFL? Nobody's moved by this woman's tears. The person who killed her son, who was about to be a professional athlete next year, is still out there. Why are no athletes calling for justice? Why isn't Sports Center inundated with, athletes talking about it? Hey, you know what? I know it's NBA Media Day, but I want to make a plea for anybody to come forward with information about, Aaron Lowe's death in Utah. Nothing. Radio silence. And just 2 weeks ago, we had an incident at the University of Kentucky that everybody was talking about. Another house party incident involving Sunman players, football players. So there was a party on the University of Kentucky campus, or maybe just off campus, a frat party. A glacier glider frat had a party. And it was invitation only. So these brothers was just cruising, college students looking for something to do. I completely understand that. They come up part of the party. And they just walk in. And they're confronted by someone who says, look, this is just for people who were invited. This is not a open to the public party. This is an invitation only party. So they got mad, started, you know how brothers do. You know how brothers do. Stop. And then things escalated. They said that someone called them a racial slur. Apparently, one of the drunk Glacier Glider girls at the party, after, they wouldn't leave for a period of time and they were making, a scene. Somebody used the N-word, apparently, and that's hearsay. I don't know. But, so they left, came back with a gun, forced their way inside, and started accosting people. They were arrested. They were charged later after the party, weeks after that, and they were made into the biggest victims in the world. And everyone had something to say about it. All the activists, all of the woke athletes. Can't believe this. Kentucky, the South, look how they treat our players in the South. Everybody had something to say about this. Everybody. So much to the point where the grand jury felt the pressure and they dismissed the charges. Just go. Just get this out. We don't need this racial. They didn't need protesters and just a racial firestorm down there in Lexington, Kentucky. So they just made it go away. They just, no, it never happened. And these guys were made to be victims the entire time. Someone at the party called them a racial slur. Some little 100-pound drunk glacier glider chick stumbling around the party used the N-word. That's what they're saying. That's the one who used the N-word. And they get to come back with a gun. They get to leave and come back with a gun and start, acting tough and menacing people. Because of that. And they were still made out to be the victims. And everybody talked about it. And it was 1,000 tweets a minute about this. Facebook pages talking about this. Kentucky football.
My child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He did nothing wrong. That I raised a good child. He wasn't a troublemaker. He didn't engage in fighting and arguing, and he didn't tote weapons. He didn't do any of those things.
Her message to the killer?
I want them to pay for what they done, and I hope they got a conscience, that they'll come forward and turn themselves in.
She also has a plea for those who may have witnessed the crime.
To please, if you know something, say something. He didn't deserve it.
Aaron grew up in Texas and is a triplet of all boys. His life was all about football. And he was living his dream playing for the Utes. Donna says all he talked about was playing in the NFL one day.
I knew he was going to make it. The NFL was where he was going. He was on his way because he loved it. He loved it, the game.
And he also dearly loved his mom.
I got a phone call every day. You good?
Aaron wore the number 22 for a reason. That is the number of his best friend, Ty Jordan, also a University of Utah football player who died by gunfire. It was just 9 months ago that Ty accidentally shot himself. Aaron was a recipient of the Ty Jordan Memorial Scholarship.
Aaron and Ty just became the best of friends.
A young man living his dream, only to have it tragically cut short.
My baby's with God. I mean, it's about to kill me. But I know my God. And I know God makes no mistakes. So whatever it was that Aaron had to do, he had already done it. And God called him home.
The mom, of course, now in the process of planning her son's funeral. If you'd like to help out, a funeral or GoFundMe account has been set up for those wanting to help out with funeral expenses. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, heart just breaks for the mother, for any family member, anyone related to the University of Utah.
It's terrible. Thanks, Dan.
He just won the Ty Jordan Award. He was wearing Ty Jordan's number. And to die of a gunshot wound is just traumatic for this team.
University of Utah football player dies after being shot last night at a party, and the gunman still remains on the loose. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us here tonight. Police say Aaron Lowe died at the scene after a fight at that party escalated.
A woman was also critically injured in that shooting. We have team coverage with reaction and condolences pouring in from athletes and many others. We start with Garna Mejia, who has been looking at the very latest on the investigation. Garna?
Yeah, good afternoon, you guys. And police are still trying to understand what happened. Right now, they suspect that this was a house party. Some uninvited guests showed up, and when they were asked to leave, a fight broke out. Shots were fired, killing Aaron Lowe.
You guys must start sharing these videos. Okay? Because people obviously don't know. They don't know. You never tell a son, man, to leave somewhere unless you are going to leave after he leaves, because he's coming back to kill you. How many you guys are being selfish with this knowledge, man. You never ask a Sun man, even in Salt Lake City. Okay, Salt Lake City is less than 1% Sun people. To the point where I couldn't even show you the demographics like I always do because they don't even register on the demographics. Statistically, their population in Salt Lake is statistically negligible. And no one on God's green earth thinks that it was a glacier glider or Ombrito or Crouching Tiger that offed Aaron Lowe. Because there's no protest, there's no talks about racism. Sharpton and Crump ain't on their way out there. The little whatever activists, BLM, Salt Lake City ain't activated. No one thinks that it was anybody other than the Sun man that killed Aaron Lowe. And you can tell by the way they're all behaving.
Yeah, good afternoon, you guys. And police are still trying to understand what happened. Right now, they suspect that this was a house party. Some uninvited guests showed up, and when they were asked to leave, a fight broke out. Shots were fired, killing Aaron Lowe.
It's pretty quiet now.
On the surface, it's just another lazy Sunday in the Salt Lake City neighborhood.
It's all normal right now.
But a closer look reveals the scars of last night's deadly shooting, says neighbor Matt Keller.
The whole neighborhood lit up.
Salt Lake City police say things started innocently enough with a house party that was getting too loud.
The house party was generating some noise enough that the neighbors were concerned enough to call in.
Police say they started getting calls around 10:30. A neighbor says she called in around 11:23, and just before midnight, her roommate called. The neighbor has asked not to be identified for safety concerns.
They told us that it wasn't the first noise complaint, that they were going to send somebody out as soon as possible.
The neighbor says there were at least 100 people at the party, spilling onto the street.
My roommate and I walked up and down the street trying to see, if the cops would come, if they would, if just the flashing lights would maybe help with the people, disperse the people from the party that was going on. But they never came.
Then around 12:20, the neighbor says things escalated.
All of a sudden it got super loud. A lot of yelling was happening.
And as police rushed to the scene,
we heard 5 or 6 gunshots go off.
Police arrived minutes after the shooting. They suspect uninvited guests showed up, and when asked to leave, a fight broke out. 2 people were shot.
We received an update. We have two multiple gunshot wounds. We're going to send another ambulance.
The victims include a woman who is in critical condition and University of Utah football player Aaron Lowe, who died at the scene. Lowe is the second member of the team killed by gunfire in less than a year. Ty Jordan was shot on Christmas Day.
He just won the Ty Jordan Award. He was wearing Ty Jordan's number. And to die of a gunshot wound is just traumatic for this team.
Now, our thoughts are certainly with the team this afternoon and with Lowe's family members and loved ones. Now, police are still working to identify a suspect. They believe that there could be multiple witnesses who may even have video recordings of what happened. They're asking anyone with information to come forward. You can call 801-799-3000.
Who thinks that if a glacier glider had killed this boy, that all them tapes and all that recording, every one of them videos would be in police custody right now? All them videos would be on TV. And it'd be a big racial firestorm. And we'd have to have a conversation about race in this country. On CNN and MSNBC, Joy Reid, Don Lemon, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, everybody would be talking. Shannon Sharp. We might even get a comment from Colin Kaepernick. I mean, he never says anything.
identify a suspect. They believe that there could be multiple witnesses who may even have video recordings of what happened. They're asking anyone with information to come forward. You can call 801-799-3000. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Garna Mejia reporting live for us. Thanks, Garna.
Condolences are pouring in over the loss of Lowe from local leaders as well as fellow athletes. We're going to bring in Sam Farnsworth on that side of the story. Just a real tragedy here.
Yeah, really shocking news for sure today. You know, when the news of Aaron Lowe's tragic death started to trickle throughout the Utah football program, it was met with devastation. Just 9 months after the loss of Ty Jordan, another member of the Utah football family, gone far too soon. Lowe wore the number 22 this season to honor Ty Jordan. He was the recipient of the Ty Jordan Memorial Scholarship. Coach Kyle Whittingham released a statement this morning saying, quote, "We are devastated to hear about the passing of Aaron Lowe. Our thoughts and prayers are with Aaron's family and friends, along with other individual who was harmed in this tragic incident. Aaron was a great teammate, friend, brother, and son, and was loved by anyone who crossed paths with him. He will be deeply missed." Athletic Director Mark Harlan added his remarks in a statement as well, saying, in part, quote, "Aaron was a terrific young man, a leader on our football team, and a rock of resiliency and courage. Our prayers are with Aaron's family, friends, teammates, and all who knew and loved him. We have been in communication with Aaron's family, and we are providing support to them." Now, of course, several teammates have been expressing their emotions over social media today. Player reaction tweets have been floating in all day long. Devin Lloyd, one of the leaders on defense.
Now, how many of y'all, when y'all heard that players had been reacting and athletes were reacting to this, how many of y'all thought that it was players from the sports world that we might, not even know, but teams that we would know? Hit one if you thought that. I didn't for a second. I knew they were just talking about his teammates. I never for 1 second thought they were talking about anybody from the Cowboys, the Redskins, the Yankees, the Lakers, the Nets. Nobody. I knew they weren't talking about anybody from any major sports league. Because when a brother kill you, no one cares. No one cares when a brother kill you. You got to be killed by a cop or a vigilante. Because, quite frankly, if they cared about every time a brother got killed, an athlete got killed by a brother, they'd run out of, if they catch carpal tunnel from tweeting. They gotta focus on glacier gliders and cops because it's so rare. They have the bandwidth for it. They don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the energy. It's exhausting, all the crime in the stand. All the high school athletes, all the JUCO athletes, all the Division II athletes, all the Division I athletes, all the female athletes that I cover on this channel that get killed every year, every month, every week. And no one, they don't get one tweet, and they don't get one, "that could have been me," like the thugs and the junkies do when they get killed by cops.
Now, of course, several teammates have been expressing their emotions over social media today. Player reaction tweets have been floating in all day long. Devin Lloyd, one of the leaders on defense. Cameron Rising, the new starting quarterback, expressing his condolences and love as well. Jaquinnen Jackson, the quarterback on the team, saying he is so hurt. Nick Ford, the starting center. God bless Alo's soul. Can't keep losing our brothers. Jalen Johnson, former University of Utah great, now with the Chicago Bears, and former Utah running back Zach Moss, who's now with the Buffalo Bills, expressing his condolences as well. Obviously, Aaron Lowe had that kind of a reach and touched a lot of members of the Utah football family.
Yeah, just such a tragedy, as you mentioned, so close to this already happening. Just, what did you say, 9 months ago or so?
9 months ago, Ty Jordan lost his life as well. So it's just been tragic, yes.
Definitely our thoughts and prayers also going out.
Our team coverage continues with reactions from the community and Lowe's family.
His mother flew to Utah when she got the news. Fox 13's April Baker is live with what she had to say. Hi, April.
Hi, good morning. Donna Lowe tells us her son just turned 21 back in May. She says he was living his dream, playing football here.
He worked so hard to get to Utah because he always talked about, "Mama, when I get there, and I make it, I'm gonna buy you this big old house.
Lowe's sister sent us these photos. The University of Utah cornerback is a triplet and is survived by his 3 brothers and sister. This morning, there is a feeling of loss across the community.
I was told by the detective that he did not do anything wrong, that he was not in any criminal activity. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I was kind of sad thinking that he probably played a couple hours ago, maybe celebrating, off the field, and then this happens. And so that is a very disheartening way to go.
It irks me that these glacier gliders can cry and burn stuff and put on masks and parade around and renegade Mad Max cosplay when a junkie dies in the back of a squad car. Like Daniel Prude in Rochester. They can run up in restaurants and snatch people's plates and burn and loot. When a dude beats up 2 cops, takes their taser and fires it at them, gets fired back at, like Rashad Brooks. This same woman will be acting like her world turned upside down if a cop had killed this football player. She'd be acting like her world was turned upside down. Her parents would be like, damn, what you gonna do if something happened to us? Her brothers and sisters be like, well, god damn, like, if you doing all that, what you gonna do if something happened to us? And then she had a family member funeral. You gotta stay strong. But some Sunman criminal with a rap sheet longer than a CVS receipt, fighting with the cops in the middle of the street, fall and bump his head and have an aneurysm, and die in the hospital a month later. She'll be acting like she can't go on.
I was kind of sad thinking that he probably played a couple hours ago, maybe celebrating, off the field, and then this happens. And so that is a very disheartening way to go.
Lowe wore the jersey of Ty Jordan, who died last year. Some fans now suggest retiring that jersey. Lowe's father has set up a GoFundMe page to raise $15,000 to afford the funeral service. They have now surpassed that goal, raising more than $16,000.